Kochhar, MD and CEO of ICICI Bank, to please come on stage to receive the honor. You've transformed ICICI, you've transformed banking. We now want you to give tips to our policymakers on how to transform India.
Well, in my view, transformation is not about taking one big step or one giant step. I think transformation is about taking hundreds of those steps that make one big change. So, you need to realize where you are today as a leader, either of a company or the country, and to have a vision of where you want to be. And then back that up with a lot of initiatives, implement it with a lot of focus and determination to get to that. So that's what we essentially did in ICICI. But I think as far as the country is concerned, clearly we have a lot of steps to take if we want to get to our full potential. The steps have to be a mix of the macro, big policy changes, but I think backed a lot by actions here and now. We need actions to get our projects working. We need actions to get the investment drive back into the country. We need actions where we can create capacity and fight inflation. And we need actions where we can make our youth trained, educated, and employable.
Dr. Roy.
Montek actually says he wants to be a journalist this evening and ask a few questions. He's wanting to do that all his life, actually.
Dr. Ahluwalia.
Thanks, Chanda. This is really nice because very often I'm asked questions. So it's quite a unique privilege to be actually asking the question. What I'd like to ask you is that, you're the leading private sector bank in India. Do you think that we're getting enough competitive processes between the public and the private sector in banking? And do you get a sense that the public sector is, as it were, following the sort of innovative things that you're doing in the private sector? Or do they see their work as being quite different from yours?
No, I think I have a lot of admiration for the public sector banking in India as well. Given the kind of challenges that they started with, and given the fact that there were on one hand the foreign banks and on the other hand the private sector banks that started afresh, really without any issues of legacy, and could create so much innovation in the banking sector, I think the public sector has responded to that challenge very, very admirably. And today, they compete with us in every manner.
Would you like to ask Dr. Ahluwalia a question as well? Since he's used to answering tough questions.
Well, I can only say that if we have to really take our growth from the current levels, to first say the 6.5% that is the target, and then to 9% that is our potential, what are the few actual real steps that we need to take?
Well, that's a good question, actually, and I hope I can give an equally good answer. But I think, as you yourself said, the government is in complete agreement with you that the most important thing to do at the moment is to show that projects that are stuck can move. The instrumentality that we have chosen is to create this new Cabinet Committee on Infrastructure. I think part of the problem is that projects have got stuck because a number of regulatory clearances are now subjected to so much public scrutiny, and there's a hesitation on the part of the bureaucratic system to respond, particularly since many of these projects are private sector projects. I mean, this is the consequence of PPP, because almost half the new generation projects are private sector projects. So when you're trying to do something to move those projects forward, it's seen very often as you're doing something to help someone in the private sector, and there's a reluctance. I mean, the only way of solving this problem is to put it at the political level, where I believe that something like the Cabinet Committee can take a holistic view. And I think they've done that. Several environmental issues have been resolved. Several projects have moved forward. And my hope is that, let's say in the next 5 to 6 weeks, you will in fact be able to say that there are a large number of projects whose problems have been resolved. And certainly I think the fuel supply problem, particularly coal, which is holding up a lot of power projects, I think that will be resolved in the next 2 weeks or so. And I think if that happens, then exactly what you wanted to see, which is the beginning of an upsurge, will in fact take place.
2 weeks, we're going to hold you up for that one, Dr. Ahluwalia.
But I must say that I think if that happens, as I said, that could release cash flows, that could bring confidence, and that could trigger the next investment drive. And I think that's the growth driver of India that is not working today. So I think that can really take our country forward. I must also add that today there is a very good understanding of what needs to be done. So I think there the credit really goes, that there is a very clear understanding, whether at the bureaucratic level or at the political level, about what needs to be done. The only issue is that we need to really back it up with action. And if you're saying that, we should see action in a few weeks, I think I can say, not just on behalf of the banking industry, but I can probably say this on behalf of all the industry captains that are sitting here, that we'll all be with you to work towards it.
Good.
All right, that's wonderful. One quick question before we let you go. We believe you're a Bollywood buff. So tell us how you managed to catch the latest movie and still manage such a tough job.
Well, I think I managed to catch the latest movie, which is, at the last show in the night on a Friday evening or a Saturday evening, which is when I can afford to see movies. But yes, I must tell you that I see most of the movies that are released.